Be starting the panel, if you can bring the chairs, and will we give the opportunity for Dr. Saleh from .موقع. Just sorry? Yes. It's an open panel, so all the questions from the audience can be asked directly. Just raise your hand and we'll get the mic to you. Please.
الو عليكم السلام ورحمة الله. حياك. طيب إن شاء الله نبدأ الآن. السلام عليكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. This is Dr. Saleh Al-Freih. I'm the chairman of the .موقع. The idea actually started a long time ago. We were part of the Arabic domain names since 2000 with the first initiatives that happened. We had a lot of contacts with IATF, with ICANN. Then when they started to launch the GTLDs, we were one of the first. We tried to get a generic domain name or a generic TLD. So we chose .موقع, not to be associated with a company or with a network or with anything. And the good things about the name, it can be also used in multiple other languages like Farsi also. Alhamdulillah, we started, I think, in 2009, the discussions and the application and all these things. And we managed, alhamdulillah, to get the GTLD last 3 months. And hopefully we're going to sign it next month, inshallah. Okay.
Sorry? Yeah. We will start questions to Dr. Saleh regarding .موقع. So if there is any questions from the audience regarding .موقع and their experience, please feel free.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Riyad Al-Kazumi from Ministry of Communication, but this is a question, I will raise it in a personal things, not related to the ministry or anything. My question, do we need the site to be in Arabic? It is getting really very complicated, because these days, everybody, when we search in any things, it makes very complicated in my personal opinion. Now, the Arabic, as what we have faced, personally, I have switched from Windows computer, like HP, for example, to Apple. I'm facing a lot of difficulties in the processing, Now, it could be if we make it in one language, which is as it is in English, it will be much easier for the researcher if you want to research for a product, for an information. Why do we have to go for different languages? Now, we are the Arab people, we say, for example. 50% of our world becoming like in English. Do we think we are not concentrated in our language? We are not want to make it in a political issue. We have to support our language, but we are going with the trend of the world. Why do we have to think? Because now, if you think, for example, in Qatar, or let's say in Kuwait, because I'm here, if I want to have a domain to put Kuwait, it's big a problem, I think, because I am holding, because maybe the guy in the Qatar, he doesn't know I have the product, and he has to search it, make it so complicated. So my suggestion is, let we make it in a standard form worldwide. Don't tell me China, well, this is China by themselves is about 1.5 billion people, or in India 1.2 billion. That's their own world. Even in India, you know how many languages do they have? So why don't we force us and to have the maximum benefit? Forget, wasting the time in putting it in Arabic and English, and then we will not finish. There's no end for it. Okay, in a research basis, fine, go ahead, do it just to enjoy it. But don't put it in the business where you need the social benefit. When I say social benefit, I mean when you need the information. Thank you.
I think this question goes maybe to the ICANN to answer why they accepted the request from the users. If Bahar, if you could brief us for.
Sure. So basically, well, the question about complexity is not new. I mean, this has always been part of the debate whether we need this or we don't need this, or where we need it in China or across the world. So you mentioned China and India, and if I understood you correctly, you seem to agree that there is a demand and there's a need in countries like China and India to have domains in their local languages, because they have massive amount of end users, millions of users there, and they cannot communicate in English. They can't write it or speak it or understand it. So, okay, what applies to India and China may also apply to the Arab world at smaller scale. I mean, practically speaking, I come from Egypt. Majority of the population in Egypt, they are much more comfortable communicating in Arabic, even though they can understand English. But if you look at the mobile phones, I mean, we have like 100 million mobile users in Egypt right now, or near 100 million, 90 something. Vast majority of the mobile users, they use mobile user interface in Arabic. They use the menus in Arabic. Hadn't they had the option to use mobile phones or mobile applications in Arabic, we wouldn't have reached this number of mobile users today. So the same applies. If you look at the chat rooms in the Arab world, people, they chat together, even though if they use the English characters, they write Arabic words using English characters, right? So this shows that there is a need to use the internet with the native language. Now, whether this need is or whether this is also required at the domain level, I can understand that this is another discussion. I mean, we can take the discussion to yet another level. But I can tell you that because at ICANN we've been through this discussion over years, and we got enormous comments and feedback from the Arabic community, demanding ICANN to implement IDN.IDN, the full address in IDN, including in Arabic. I must also admit that part of this motive was political. It was not all like practical. Okay, governments, see a value in having the country name in Arabic. So yeah, part of the motive could be political, but again, there was, and I think there is still a demand from the end user side as well. So,
if I might just add to that, we're seeing a huge explosion in content in Arabic in social media, in different platforms. So there's content currently in Arabic. I can agree with you that there's less Arabic content, academic content in Arabic. That's an issue, definitely. We have less Wikipedia articles in Arabic, yes. But if you look to the huge explosion in terms of Arabic content in social media, it's phenomenal. So really, there's a need. It's basically about how we can utilize that. And in some Arabic countries, there is also literacy. Why we need to have someone really, a farmer, someone to join the internet in Morocco, in Libya, in Egypt, to start learning to write www. Something.ag or .com. We need to take that barrier. So there's also an issue of identity. I think it's also important that online we have the Arabic language identity. So there's different reasons to that. The magnitude could be different from the China and Russia size, but definitely there is a need for that in the Arab world.
Okay. Dr. Saleh, maybe if you heard the question was basically, was there a need and why do we need to complex the internet domain names in Arabic where people could write, the domain names in English briefly? So if you can let us know your, views on this question.
Well, yes, I think that's a genuine question. But given that internet is not really only for researchers, if you take, for example, all the public right now, it's for the mass people. When we did a lot of surveys here, in all countries, China, India, Saudi Arabia, you find the people who knows English is very minimal compared to the Arabic. So why do we complicate their lives and let them use the English while not their native language? That's one thing. The other thing also is that it's very important for them because the English language will not serve. Just a simple example, when I search, unless you search and use a search engine to find one of the most famous websites in the Arabic world is Al Jazeera. If I ask anybody to write Al Jazeera in English right now, so many spellings will be there. So I think since the internet is changing, it's for the public, it's for the mass right now, they deserve to have something very easy for them to use.
To conclude, as Mr. Mohammed said, the Arabic content is rising. On Twitter, Arabic language, advanced like 1,600% compared, from the previous years. So I think the Arabic content is rising, and I, concur on that the Arabic requirement where people actually have Arabic OSs, like for example Windows, the browser itself starts from right to left. So writing the URL would be more convenient even for these kind of users. This is for the first question. Thank you. Another question maybe comes from my end to the panelists. For the GTLDs, maybe Dr. Saleh can brief us on the GTLD part. What was the intention to select, for example, this specific keyword like موقع for your corporation? Was it by like translating an existing GTLD and English TLD, or it was on a specific purpose?
No, actually, when we look at it, it was a very long way to have that selection. The English is started with the .com, .net, .org, and all these things. So to choose only one, we thought, and the obvious one will be the .com. So you will have the .sharika or something like this. But then we know that the .com was not the right TLD, but because it was the first one, it becomes very famous. But you find non-profit organization having .com, you find people having .com. So we thought we will not do the same mistake what happened in the English. So we searched for the best one, and we thought the most generic, since the generic TLD, we thought the most generic TLD in Arabic will be .موقع. because that موقع will fit for anything, a successful choice. We did some surveys on the TLDs that's been approved, the TTLD has been approved, and alhamdulillah, that موقع used to be one of the top in selection if we ask somebody to which, if you're going to register a GTLD, which one of you will you be using? So we hope, inshallah, that موقع will be the .com of the English, but the right .com.
The panelists can, enlighten us regarding, for example, .Arabic, .Arab and .Arab, and why it's not, for example, Arabic, and maybe if you know some stories about the GTLDs, why they selected these specific Arabic GTLDs. For example, I know that you were part of, .Arab and .Arab. Why they selected Arab, not, for example, Arabi or, kind of these words, if you can.
So for .Arab, .Arab is applied for by the League of Arab States. So this is the intergovernmental organization that has the 22 Arab countries as members. And again, this is a long story, but at some point, some governments in the region thought that we've got to have a presence in this space, and we've got to have the name Arab as one of the future TLDs, and it took them a long journey to get to the point where they decided to have two strings, or apply for two strings, not one. One in English, or ASCII, which is .Arab, and the other one is .Arab in Arabic. And they wanted to get the same sort of, or the typical translation of .Arab, like, which is Arab, not Arabi, or something else. Again, I mean, I'm not sure about their future plans on how they are, or how they intend to use the domain, but I know that they're working through a consortium involving League of Arab States, involving many governments, and also involving some CCTLDs in the region. So the .AE in United Arab Emirates is the registry that is going to run .Arab and .Arab. They have the infrastructure, they have the system and all this, so they're gonna run it for them.
If I just might add, usually for domainers, domain names are like real estate. So the more unique domain you have, the more value you have for your domain. So the same could be said to the new GTLDs. So the companies who apply for unique names, they will have an audience. That's my assumption. So now I think it's, in our case, in the Arabic language, there is .موقع, .shabaka, which is .site, .shabaka, which is like .web or .net. And I'm not sure if we have, when we have .com, C-O-M, the transliteration of com. So we have almost four competing new GTLDs. Which one will be considered the more attractive? I think it's up to the user and how people are using it. Initially, I think there will be lots of registration from trademark holders, from big companies who want to protect their names. So regardless of the TLD, the Audi and BM and Nike and Pepsi, they will register in almost all the 1,900. And then branding will definitely have a role. For example, now we have very successful domain name registrations under .me. It has been branded as me, although it's Montenegro. We have .tv, which is Trinidad and Tobago. It's an island, a small island. Actually, the domain name registration is part of their GDP now. So it's a big component. It's like oil and gas and for them. So it's how you brand it and how you use it. So if the registries in our region come up with innovative ideas, even resellers or registrars. So the equivalent of QuwaitNet, if they come with new ideas, how to use the names, that will also. So no one knows how this business venture will end up, but there is potential, because there's also people arguing that the user's argument, 1,900 domain names, how we're going to remember those, how we're going to use those. So it's about really innovation, how they, and marketing, you know.
Thank you. We can take more questions from the audience.
Well, thank you so much for your answer, which is, like you are on the side in the market demand more than I do, so you know what is the potential of demanding of this registration. But now when it comes to the cost, this is what personally what I'm thinking is the cost effective. Now, because any company who they want to register in Arabic, I'm sure they need a lot of work, development, their website or whatever, their sales point of sales site, whatever they want to do it in Arabic. But in the same time, I wish, as I said, you have to push a little bit to be in one gateway. So, like when you said in Egypt there is about 1 million mobile user, this is really 100 mobile user? I mean, it could be that, let's say, some people, they have 2 mobiles, but unfortunately, those figures, they are not giving the fact for our market, because they think it's, wow, it's needed. Like, for example, the population in Kuwait is about 3.3 million. Okay, when we hear the statistics of the 3 operator mobile in Kuwait, they say, well, we have a total of about close to 7 million. It doesn't make sense, because 7 million, how much generate income? This is the most important. Yes, it is easy. I can have 3 lines in front of me, but how many are we using, and how much it generate income to push the company to forward? So that is my question: is the cost effective? Because when we do registration several languages, then it will be, because we might enter another, like for example, UAE maybe, or let's say Kuwait, we will go to the cities or to I don't know what will happen to the future. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mirza. I'm from Fastelco. Now, my questions to gentlemen is, why were they speaking in English and why not in Arabic? Because they want to be heard and seen globally. So for me to register my domain in Arabic, I am separated from West. People cannot see me, they cannot find me. So in future, where do we see this going? Are we separating Arab world from the West? Because yesterday's session we had pairing sessions where we are globally communicating and merging. Today we are separating them.
If I can, a small comment. Small comment. Today we have, websites with dual languages like Arabic and English. I believe, where we're heading, that we will have 2 languages. Like, for example, Jam'a.Qatar, it goes to the Arabic website, where, for example, qu.com.edu.qa would go to the English version. The need, and I think also the panel can, add more.
To present in English, the lack of translation. We have colleagues in the room who cannot, if I speak in Arabic, no one will understand anything. But many times, in many venues, either in ICANN or elsewhere, I have given the same presentation in Arabic. And also, just to prove the issue, we also used, I used the demonstration of going online immediately, or pointing you to something. Yeah. So I don't think it's a separation, it's just a logistic here. Unfortunately, we don't have the translation, so I will be speaking to you in Arabic. But I don't think there is a separation at all. It's about using the preference in using. For example, a company could target the Arab region in Arabic through registering a website .arab and having a campaign, for example. McDonald's could do that, others could do that. So it's really, it's not a separation. I think it's just using the right tool. I don't think there's a separation at all. Both could be going and hand in hand. So that's my reason. But I do English Arabic presentation as well.
Okay, so I think more to the point of the separation, and if we take this to the domain name space or the internet space in general, I think the point again is it all depends on who the audience are. I mean, you speak the language that your audience would understand. You put content on the website, you know, for the audience that you're targeting. I mean, you produce a newspaper in the language that, again, your readers would understand. And in the Arab world, you got, you know, media channels, media outlets in several languages. I mean, websites and so forth. The same concept applies to domain names as well. I mean, there is a need. It's very early to, you know, judge whether, you know, the demand or the need is high or medium or low, but there apparently is a need, and what you know, whether the registrars, registries, or even ICANN does, you know, they simply react or respond to the need and provide services that, you know, appeal to their audience or end users or customers. So.
Okay.
Just one thing. I just want to add one thing because of the question of separation. So yeah, I'm the peering guy, but when it comes to this question, I have to say I'm from Austria, and I know so many Austrian websites that are just in German, or so many German websites that are just in German. In Czech, they're just in Czech. In Slovenia, just in Slovenia. I think this is, if you have local content, I see no issue if it's just in Arabic, you know. Of course, if you want to go international, yeah, you need English as well. That's for sure. In this case, I would even say when I compare Austria to GCC or to the region here, you're far further than we because yeah, we have not so much multi-language websites now than you have. But I don't think it's a real separation. It's just a matter of audience, like you said.
Thank you. We would like to take, you know, any more questions regarding .موقع, so we can, you know, wrap up the conference call. I know, Dr. Saleh, we're taking a lot of your time, so we're trying to wrap up here for any more questions from the audience. Any questions for .موقع before we wrap up the call? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Saleh, for your time. Appreciating we ran a little bit late, but, you know, appreciating your time with us today. Inshallah, we'll be seeing you in further, you know, events in future. And wishing you good luck with the lunch, inshallah.
Inshallah. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Salam alaikum.
Salam.
Okay, we'll be wrapping up. So if we can take, you know, more further questions from our audience regarding, you know, ICANN policies, Qatar experience. Maybe, you know, I would like to hear maybe more from the Qatar experience, so we can, you know, the Kuwaiti experience actually maybe could move forward for .Kuwait. So what was the intention? Because, you know, you're operating the .QA and .Qatar, it's from the same entity. I believe in Egypt, .EG and .Masr is running from two different entities. So it's not always required for the .ASCII, the .KW, for example, to run the .Kuwait. So, for example, in Qatar, you know, if, you know, in let's say in 4 minutes, we would, you know, sharing like .Qatar and .QA and .Egypt and .Masr, how they is running and how did it move forward.
For Qatar, we were fortunate to be running the ASCII registry.QA. So when ICANN opened the door for new IDN applications, for us it was the normal thing, the same registry to apply for the Arabic domain name. So we treat them as a different product, but it's the same registry. We're using the same platform, same support functions, same stuff. In terms of ICANN requirement, there is no requirement that the IDN and the ASCII English registry to be the same. So the future, maybe .Kuwait in Arabic, could be either the same registry or a different, completely different registry, as I think it's the case of Egypt and other countries. So that's not a requirement. For us, it was we didn't want to invest in new organization. There is no need for that. So for us, it's just a new product, but it have a different audience. It have a different technical requirements. It required upgrade in terms of systems and investment in registry systems. But saying that, managing IDN registry could be fairly a basic function. So I don't want people to think that this is a huge investment, because it could be, there is countries who are running the IDN registries manually. There is countries who are using open source systems, which is available and free. You can use. So it's not about the cost. There is no huge cost barrier. It's just about the will and to approach ICANN, to have an application, to fulfill the basic DNS requirement to function a country code. So if that is clear, Kuwait, or someone could apply for .Kuwait, and they can easily get that in ICANN. Our experience, it took us it's almost a year, but I think now is IANA and ICANN is already familiar with the process, so definitely it will be less. So IANA delegation could take between 3 to 6 months if you are ready. So realistically, that's doable, not a difficult task. Policy component is big. You need to develop policies for the new Arabic domain name registration. What need to be allowed, what is not allowed, what are the technical issues and all that. So policy component is a big one. But other than that, the technical function itself is not that huge. And by the way, we are ready to help if there's any approach to move forward from our experience, and I'm sure the other operational IDN, Arabic IDNs registries will in Emirat and Saudi, they will be also willing to help as well. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think Mohammed has covered more or less everything. I mean, from ICANN's perspective, we don't decide on who runs the CCTLD or the IDN CCTLD. It could be the same entity. It could be a separate or different entity. That is a decision that comes from the community, from the local community. So the case in Egypt was that the CCTLD, I mean .eg, has been run by an academic institution, the research network, universities network, since 1992. And then when the government decided to apply for .Masr, the IDN CCTLD, decision was to have this run by the telecom regulator. So that was decision taken at national level, and that was fine. So I think one thing one of the lessons learned in the past 3 years about IDNs and IDN experience is that applying for an IDN CCTLD and getting an IDN CCTLD and even running an IDN CCTLD is not a challenge. It's probably, this is the easiest part. The challenge is how to get this name used and how to get people to use it and register names under it and all this. This is the real challenge, and this is what we're facing currently in the region. And it's not only a problem of IDN. So in my next presentation, in the coming session, I'm going to present on what we call the ICANN Middle East strategy, and I'm going to brief you on one of the challenges that we have in the Middle East is It's the whole DNS industry. It's not only the IDN part. It's the whole industry. There is a lack of awareness and lack of understanding of this industry in this region, and ICANN shares part of the responsibility there. And this is actually affecting the IDN part as well. So it's not only an IDN thing. It's the whole industry which we need to sort of develop and strengthen.
Thank you, Bahar and Mohammed. I believe this, ends our panel session for today. If there is any side questions or any, the gentlemen are available for today, and inshallah, Mohammed could share the presentation with the correct Arabic online, and we will be seeing. I would just comment on Mac. It's not a Mac issue, by the way. It's support of Microsoft on Mac. Because Mac, as you've seen from the browser, when I typed Kala, it was correct on Safari. So don't blame Mac, blame Microsoft. Thank you, guys, and see you in the next session, inshallah.